Today's episode of the Surf Connections podcast is brought to you by VicHealth and Surfing Victoria. Surfing Victoria acknowledges its head office is based on Wadawurrung country. We pay our respects to Wadawurrung people and their elders, past, present and emerging. We appreciate the coastline of traditional lands that we are able to surf and understand the importance of respecting country. We extend our acknowledgement to all the traditional lands that you are gathered on here today to listen to this podcast.
So today it is our absolute pleasure to introduce to you our guest. She's an advocate for mental health and an incredible community leader. She has created a place for young people to experience the many benefits of being in the ocean. Rachael Parker, welcome. We're really stoked to have you today. I feel like there's going to be a lot to chat about, so we're just going to dive in.
Yeah, we know your charity and your surf program, Ocean Line, has been a major aspect of your surf story, and we will touch on that later. But we would love to hear a little bit more about how you started surfing and how it became something that has influenced your life deeply today.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It's a bit of a whirlwind romance with surfing, really. I was traveling around Europe, be about 5 years ago now, and I found myself in Portugal, a little town called Peniche, which people that surf know that it's like one of the surfing meccas of Portugal for surfing. I had no idea. I just turned up to work at a hostel, and it turned out that it was the perfect place for me to end up on my journey. I had been traveling after quite significant burnout from working as a youth worker. I was working with young people that were coming out of prison in like intensive support and young people that were homeless, and it was quite a difficult job to sort of see and work with young people experiencing such significant trauma in their lives, and I guess you get that vicarious trauma yourself when you're working so closely with them, that I just needed I needed a break. I wasn't doing well at all. My own mental health was quite bad, and so I took off. I went traveling around around Europe, and then after a couple of years found myself in Peniche and still not doing so fantastic. It was actually really quite low, and the guy that I was working for, Lewis, he kind of just for the first week just left me be, taught me how to clean the toilets and the way he wanted me to do the bed, and then then he just stayed out of my way because I wasn't looking so great. And then one day he just kind of turned around to me and said, "Rachel, you need to learn to surf. You need to get in the water and you need to surf." Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know how. Like, I know Australians are supposed to know how to surf, but I don't know how.
What was your initial reaction? Were you kind of like a bit taken aback, or were you?
Well, like, I love the ocean. I was going in and swimming every day, but I just was like, I can't do that. Like, that was never something that I thought I could do. So I've never tried. I never, thought it would be an activity that I'd be able to do at all. So he set me up with one of his friends who has a surf school down there. We took the foamies out, and like, I still remember that first day of like learning to surf. I was 30, and I was like, what am I doing? Ridiculous, trying to learn a new skill. I'm 30, I'm too old for this, but I'll give it a go. Yeah. And so I went down to the beach and got in the wetsuit, carried these big foamy boards. The wind was gushing. It was it was a horrible day. It wasn't
so you don't, it wasn't the pristine clean water or anything like to sell.
No, it was not like that. It was, it was not the bestest of days, but we all got in. And I guess with depression, like, it feels like a heavy cloud is around you. Like you just weighed down all the time. And when I got in the water, it kind of stayed at the sand, and I had this space of freedom for a moment. Like, and it was like, in the whole scheme of things, it was a moment, but it was a long moment for me, and enough for me to go, all right, this is freeing. This is amazing. And I didn't stand up. Like, I was just having a ball, like, just getting like nosedive after nosedive after nosedive, and not being able to surf. And it was just, a typical learning experience.
You had that moment, like that clarity and just that.
Mm.
Do you think it was you just didn't think about anything else? You were just present.
I just
because you had to.
I think
Yeah.
the ocean just commanded my attention. Like
Yes.
with a board, like swimming is totally fine that you can just float around and that stuff. With a board, you need to know you need to know what's coming at you. You need to be in that moment all the time. And so I think it was just that, and learning a new skill and being in the ocean and being immersed by what was happening there. And then it was space. And after that first time I was hooked. Like I didn't stand up. I pretty much caught some waves on my knees and that was it. 2 hours on my knees. And then the next rest of that month that I was working there, I just went to the surf. I clean the toilets and then go to the surf every single day. I went traveling for I was supposed to move on after that first month and then organized to come back for a second month just so I could keep surfing. Changed all my travel plans so I could keep surfing. And then when I eventually got back to Australia, did the same thing. I was I'm from Melbourne and I was traveling down to surf every weekend, and then I just went, why am I traveling down here, and just moved.
Love that.
Wow. And so when you came back to Australia, were you still working where you were previously, or had you kind of transitioned to a different sort of job role?
No, so I quit all my jobs. I quit working, and just because I went traveling for 3 years, so there was no coming back to it. And when I came back, I wasn't sure I was ready to get back into working in the homelessness field. I did, but I wasn't quite ready for it. So I tried some other different jobs. I did a sales thing, and I'm really bad at sales, so that didn't last for long. But tried a couple of different jobs before, going back into the homelessness field and working in that. And then quite quickly I moved down here. I got back to Australia in October. I moved down here in March. And then from then I started looking into Ocean Mind and building Ocean Mind into what it is now.
I was going to say March, like the mecca of surfing for the surf coast, really, around Easter. So you probably...
Yeah.
Did you feel that buzz too when you were here in that time? Because obviously talking then, those who don't know, it's the Rip Curl Pro and massive event, and there's a bit of buzz around town. Do you feel like that? Yeah, helped?
There was definitely. I guess it was also summer, and it was just as vibrant place to be. The weather was good. The waves were good because it's that March period where it's still the weather's a little bit okay, and the waves are still coming in again. So it was
good way to ease into it, not straight into that cold ice cream headache water.
Yeah. I think I did my first winter down here in a 3-2 with no booties, and I didn't realize you could get all this other stuff.
That's epic. That's a mission. That's a full commitment there.
Definitely. So we want to touch more obviously on Ocean Mind. So you were saying you came back and that's when you kind of wanted to start it. How did you come about with that? So you want to tell us more about how you created the Ocean Mind for young people struggling with their mental health and opportunity to surf and mental health support. Obviously, tell me if I'm wrong, it stemmed from your experience knowing how it was to you. Is that kind of where it buzzed from? Or?
Yeah. There's a couple of different areas that it came from. In my work that I've done with young people, I've always been quite frustrated with the constraints of the support that's available. A lot of the young men that I was working with in Melbourne, they didn't have, they all needed mental health support. Yet they wouldn't sit in a room and talk to a psychologist. That's not what they needed in the way of support. And so, you would try and find different things for them. And I'd started looking into sort of adventure-based therapy and narrative therapies and how to sort of work that into being outdoors. And so I used to take them out rock climbing. And so I've always been really outdoorsy and really used for my work, use the outdoor environments for the young people. But it wasn't until I went surfing and I experienced surfing for the first time that I went, this is the modality I need to use and I want to use. This is an amazing opportunity for the young people to really get an instant, an instant support.
Yes,
Yeah.
makes sense.
You wanted to give them the moment that you sort of had.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. The moment I had and the moments I have ongoing after that, like it wasn't just that one time that I go. It's like it's something that I use in my mental health toolbox. Like it's what I go to support myself when I need it, and then have fun when I don't need it as a mental health tool.
Increase the battery, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
I
definitely.
I absolutely get that. My like personal thing when I think I'm fine and I'll just be going with like running businesses and everything, and then I'll be like, oh, I'm grumpy and I just agitated at things, and then it's like, oh, I haven't surfed for like a week, and you get in the water and you just go.
Or do you ever get that moment where you're like, oh, I haven't looked at the ocean? And you just need that like visual of it. And you're like, oh, okay.
Smell something.
There's something about it.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think I've ever been away from the ocean for that long since.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
like all holidays have been to surfing destinations, and haven't not been near the ocean for
it's one of those things. As soon as you get hooked, like
I can't unhook.
Obsessed.
Totally obsessed. Life changing. Just
yes, absolutely.
Your normal life journey was there, and then it just goes. Shoop.
Yeah, it's all over.
Changing it. So I guess like we talked about like that moment, and I guess that's quite a cathartic thing for you. But what's it been like seeing that in like that moment happen for so many young people that you've been able to like share? What's that feel like?
So I call it my cry moment. There's so much. Sorry.
It almost makes me want to tear up.
It's so with our programs, like there's a lot build up to it. There's a lot of work, there's a lot of stress that kind of builds up to the first day of the program. And on the first day of the program, you get everyone together, you match them with their mentors, you hope that the matches work, and then you get down to the beach and they do their surfing lesson, and you get this moment where all the kids with their mentor next to them, a surfboard under their arms, are all walking out into the ocean, and it's like this is their moments. And you like I just kind of like I stand back and I watch, and this is my tear moment. It's where I like the first day of the first program, where the kids are doing their first waves with their mentors, and it's just like that they're going to turn around, catch their first wave, and there's these massive, massive smiles on their faces, and anything that they might have been grumpy the whole lead up to getting in the water of the program. They might have been really disengaged. They might have been like, oh, I'm too cool for this. I don't want to talk to you. And then he gets in the water and you can just see their eyes light up, and the excitement that's there. And even those that are really scared will go in the shallows, but they just like, as soon as their like toes hit the ocean and they start jumping waves, and like they start finding that play there, and it's just it's the most amazing moment, and it reminds it kind of gives me that good reminder of that moment for me as well. And so I can sort of always draw back into that, which is always really special too, because often we forget about those moments, don't we?
Oh, of course.
I was going to say, I feel like that's probably a good motivator for, like you were saying, there's that big stressful build up to that moment, but it's probably like, oh no, it's like the carrot at the end. Like it's going to be so rewarding once we get to that place where everyone feels that.
I can only imagine you just explaining it. Just makes me go, oh my gosh, I would be a hot mess.
I want some of that.
It's so special. Like I just kind of pinch myself. Like this is work now. Like I get to do this as a job, and it's amazing.
I guess that probably leads us to around. I know you're doing a little bit of research with Deakin University on the actual therapeutic benefits of this kind of program. Do you want to give us a little insight into what they're kind of taking data on?
Yeah, so we are doing a 3-year study. It's a randomized control group study. So when you talk about research, there's like lots of different levels that you can get at, and this is like the top level. the most rigorous research that you can get. And so we're really excited. It's one of the first in the world that's been done. And what we're looking at and comparing is pre and post data of young people that have done the program, as well as young people that haven't done the program, and looking and seeing what says indicators of well-being, indicators of good mental health. And we're sort of looking at those indicators pre and post the program, as well as those kids pre and post not doing the program, and comparing those results. I don't have access to any of the results as yet. I have been told we're trending in the right direction, which is always good.
Yes, that is good.
But it's really exciting, and it's really great just to be able to have that research and that real rigor sort of backing what we do. Like a lot of people that I've sort of gone to for funding and that kind of stuff, you're taking kids surfing, and if they're not surfers, if they're not people that are ocean lovers or ocean dwellers, then they don't quite get it as much. But you talk to a surfer and they're all over it. They're like, yep, gotcha, do it. What do you need? How can we support?
What you're trying to get
Yes,
at.
of course.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
I think that kind of links in with some of the programs we do here at Surfing Victoria, like our teens program. It's like that connection to physical activity. And I guess it's very similar. Like, you don't understand the biggest influence engaging in a social, physical activity program can have on their physical well-being, mental well-being, but also their support networks around them. So I think it's really cool that you've really just been at the forefront of where that's leading. I think that's really, really interesting and
really inspirational.
Yeah,
really awesome.
It's just in our backyard. That's the other thing. Why doesn't anyone get on this?
Yeah. Well, I was really surprised when I first got down into Torquay. So when I first started researching, can you use surfing and therapy? And, is surfing a therapeutic tool? And is there programs out there? And I had to look all the way to Cornwall. And in Cornwall, they were running a surf therapy program called the Wave Project. And that's who we use their model, because they've been doing it for 8 years already. So we use their model to begin with to pilot the programs, and then have since sort of honed out what it is for the Australian context. But it was really, I was so surprised. I guess not being that, not living and breathing surfing my whole life, I knew that Torquay was supposed to be sort of like a surfing mecca. Everyone knows Torquay, everyone knows Bells Beach. And, people come here from around the world to go see, and there was nothing. There was no programs like this out there. And yet, in South Africa, there was one, in the UK, in Scotland, there was one.
Wow. See, that's 5-4
weddings. Yeah. Absolutely.
Nope.
You're so right, actually. To be honest, since I discovered what you do, I was so surprised that it hadn't been done sooner. You're right, because it just makes, obviously to a surfer, it makes so much sense. So that's why it's so amazing that you took it by your hands and just I'm going to do this, and I get super excited. So that's why it's good to have you on board, really.
I was like, do you think that reason why it hasn't been sort of touched on here in Australia is something? Do you think there's any particular barriers that are unique to Australian culture that in the mental health space, or do you think that's kind of interesting, separate? I think that would be really interesting to see what you think.
Yeah, I think the idea of community-based mental health is not part of the mental health service sector here. We don't get funded from the government or anything like that to run these programs. We're all philanthropic funded or fundraising and that kind of thing. I don't think we have a lot of alternative mental health supports out there. We're very traditional in the supports that we provide as a country. We're slowly changing, and the recent review of the mental health service system for Victoria is hopefully going to change the way mental health is provided in Victoria, hopefully Australia, but as a start in Victoria. But I think there's real I guess, importance in the government and the government funding on throughputs and impact indicators. So, you've got to tick a box. And if you're ticking the boxes, then great. But I guess surfing, it doesn't tick all your boxes nicely. It's really different, and people respond differently, and find support in different ways from the ocean. Like, it's not all the same. So not everyone has my experience. Right. They all have very different experiences, but they're all positive experiences, and they all support them in them having I guess good mental health, or being quite mentally strong, I guess.
Yeah. And it's like you were saying before, like, you go back to your toolkit. We all need different tools in our toolkit, because we do. We're all different. Yeah. No. Like, what do you find the biggest barriers for young people in Victoria at the moment, maybe, in accessing mental health?
I think there's a couple. Some major ones is things like stigma, and the way that the service system responds to young people in the same way that they respond to adults. So there's similarities there, that they sort of haven't catered to a youth-focused mental health stream. Like, Headspace is a really great start, and they're doing some fantastic things, but it's not quite there yet, because of the number of young people that are requiring support. So Headspace, like, they have waiting lists already, and so a young person to get in, they're waiting 6 months sometimes to get support. And you're like, well, if you're a young person having first episodes of, feeling really low, or anxiety or depression, and you've got to wait 6 months to get support, then it really gives them a bad experience of the mental health service system to begin with. And once you have that one bad experience, it's really hard to come back in and try again and keep trying, especially if you're not doing well mentally.
That resilience, your ability to be resilient, is very low, isn't it?
So low. And when there's so many hurdles to actually access support, then it makes it harder and harder, and then you give up until it gets to breaking point. And unfortunately, sometimes young people, we know around here, a lot of young people recently have gotten to that breaking point, and we don't want to see that. We want to be able to offer the support beforehand. And that's where I guess I see Ocean Mind fitting in that middle bracket of, we're not at the pointy end. We're not when young people need psychologists, but we're here. If they're on a waiting list, they can come get support still. If they, if they're feeling a little bit unsure and unsteady in life, they can come get support. They don't need to wait till they get to that breaking point to get the support. And the support that we provide is ongoing. So it's not like you do one program and then see you later. It's you do one program, then you join our surf club, and you're in our surf club until you don't want to be in our surf club anymore. And if you get to 16, we're going to make you become a volunteer as well. And you're going to teach other young people how to surf, and it's going to change how you see yourself. You're going to be a mentor instead of a young person needing help. And it's
more about like that mentoring ship. Like, how's that being in, like, seeing a person go from like them being the ones accessing the help to providing the help? What's that like? That's incredible.
Incredible is definitely the word for it. Like, to see a young person that comes to a program. I've got one young boy in mind that came with us, has been with us since the very beginning. And he came and learnt to surf, and he loved it. And he would come to every program, but like, he was really shy and really like wouldn't really engage very well, and really didn't feel comfortable in his own skin. You could see it. He just didn't present himself well, didn't really feel comfortable talking to people. You really had to pull words out of him. And then, through the program, he loved surfing, and he would get out there, and then he started giving tips to other young people. And so he was, being able to sort of surf a little bit better than some of the other young people, and so he would give tips. And then, he was like, oh, I think I might want to be a peer mentor. This was when he was 15. I'm like, we got to wait till you're 16. So he was counting down the days. He'd message me going, oh, next week I'm 16. Can we book, like, when can I book you in to be a mentor?
Oh, awesome.
And so he came in, he did his training. He was really quite nervous because the training for the peer mentors is with the adult mentors as well. So we're all together, because it's about bringing that team environment in there.
Yeah.
And so he was really nervous, but he did it. And then, he could see his confidence just go from that training day. He had his first mentor, and he went boom, skyrocketing. He was, then after sort of going through that process for a year and mentoring for a year, his school then recognised his confidence there, and he was voted to be the SRC rep or whatever, something in the school. And so all the kids voted him into being in that role, and he's then given presentations. Like, I've asked him to present about his experience in Ocean Martin, and he's happy to come in and talk about his experience. He writes about it. He's like one of our biggest advocates as well for the programs.
That's so
and it's just amazing to see him from where he was, and knowing sort of, the family situation was quite hard, and it has continued to be tough. His stuff at home hasn't been easy, but he's had that resilience and that confidence in himself that is and this community that's wrapped around him and supported him, that has kind of made him into this such an amazing young man right now. And he's going to do
goosebumps. That's like
the ultimate,
isn't
it? A whole ultimate,
it's like,
whole thing.
It's the cycle around, and it's such a like, I feel so privileged to be able to do that and to be able to offer that to the young people. And
it must be so amazing, like seeing that community in action, and not only for the people that are mentors, but like for yourself. What does it make? Because I know Torquay's not your home, but does that make you feel very at home, or a place
definitely.
Definitely.
The community here is I've never experienced anything quite like it. Everybody is so willing to get involved and to support stuff that they that they know is good for the community, and they put the community almost above their own personal needs sometimes, and we'll go out and go above and beyond, and it's so amazing to see. Like, I'm on a couple of different community groups now, and everyone's just really really inviting and accepting. And I love going down to, like, I've got my walk with my dog, and I see all the all the people. You kind of just you go for a walk and you're waving to everyone, and just getting along, and everyone's just usually in pretty high spirits, and especially when the sun's out, smiles on their faces, and it makes
the sun brings out the best in everyone. I think
it does.
Definitely.
I think maybe we'll touch a little bit on the dreaded COVID word, maybe.
Yeah.
Because I know that would have ceased a lot of the programs, and also a lot of the work that you do, like, on the ground. How did you kind of keep yourself tracking over that sort of period? Because I know that would have been very different to your normal stream of life.
Yeah, well, I guess for us, when COVID hit, like when we first went into lockdown in March, we just finished a program. We're about to start running the next one, and we just had to stop everything. Like, we just were like, shut up shop.
Yeah.
But we have the most amazing team of people working at Ocean Mine now, and they were all like, we can't stop support. Like, we know this is going to significantly impact, especially the group of young people that we are currently supporting. So we sort of played around with some different ideas, and eventually landed on just providing online Zoom sessions twice a week for the kids to drop in. We called them drop-in sessions. So the kids could drop in, and it was a space for them to talk and ask questions, a place where we would do activities and have fun. We kind of co-designed it with them as well. So we had some Zoom sessions with the kids going, hey, we've got some space here, and we're going to make it as fun as possible. What do you want? And so they were able to give us some feedback of what they wanted in that space. We did lots of show and tell. We did some surf fitness things, and it was really ensuring that the young people had a place to connect, and also had an external person that they could call for help if they needed. So it was this great space. And the team that we had, like, we have Jake and Michelle, and we had a student that was doing student placement with us, and that group of 4 just banded together and went, all right, how do we make this happen? And put so much energy into just transferring what we did into another space, and just made these Zoom sessions work. And they worked really well. The kids were really, really connected. And then we had like a drawing competition, so we could get the kids all thinking about the ocean and drawing and that kind of stuff, and created some merchandise out of that. And just just were trying to make sure that we were connecting with the kids, as we weren't allowed to be on the weren't allowed to be on the beaches. But I think it was amazing, because not only were we still connecting with the kids, we started connecting with them in different ways. Like when we did show and tell, we were then invited into the house, and we got to know them a lot better. You know, we had some kids that were learning the guitar that would play for everyone and sing, and, you know, just wanted to show their talents. And so it's, you know, there was all this beautiful moments that came out of this new way of running our programs. And the other part of it was we were then because usually we close down through June, July, August, because it's too cold to get kids in the water. And we're, so, you know, our planning, our prep plan, but we usually just don't have any contact with the young people. And now we're like, actually, through those winter months, we're going to continue having Zoom sessions with all of our kids, like always now.
See, wow.
So good. Such a positive to come out of that situation.
Yeah.
You know, to realise that you could also still incorporate that continually now into the program. I love that.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we've got the question, where is your favourite place to surf?
Personally. Favourite place to surf? That's a hard one. Like, I have this love affinity with Peniche, because that was the first place I surfed.
Yes.
And I was so lucky last year to have a chance to go before COVID hit. At the end of last year, I went over to back to Peniche, and I went and stayed with the guy that was there. You know, he was the first person to introduce me to surfing, and I got to go back there and we surfed together. Like we were, I can surf now.
Oh my gosh, that's
so we can surf together.
I love that.
That's
awesome. So
yeah.
First time.
So we went out to surf. We hadn't seen each other it would have been 4 years, hadn't seen each other. He knew what I was doing, because I just sent him messages going, thank you so much. You've changed my life. You've changed my world. And so, just came on back. Surprised him. He didn't know I was coming.
Oh my God.
Surprised him. Went there, and then, we got to go surf together, which was just, pretty amazing. So Peniche is one of those places that is like it's got a lot of good memories, and I think that's why I would not because of the break or the surf, but because of the memories that are attached to it.
No, how could you top that? That's the thing. It's the moment where you picked up your passion, you had that moment, you know, of like, oh, this is me. Like, that makes so much sense. I don't think you could top that.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. It's quite bizarre, actually, just going over there, and like it feels like I'm driving into home, like it's like a second home overseas, that I can just like drive in. I know the place really well, and I you know some people, and it just feels homely.
So guys, you didn't make you clean any toilets, did you?
Did you?
No. No toilet cleaning second time round, so that was okay.
So cool.
So would there be any, like, what kind of words of wisdom would you love to be able to just give your 15-year-old self now that you're older and wiser? And
I would say, hang in there. It's going to get better.
Yeah.
Just it'll be tough for a little bit, but it'll get better. Is probably what I would say I would say, get out and get a surfboard as well. Go surfing now.
Right now.
Life changing.
Yes. Yeah. Life changing, and you'll be a better surfer when you're 30. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get jealous of all the kids that are learning to surf now, and I'm just like, just wish that I had have learnt when I was younger.
Yeah. I have that feeling nearly daily when I'm just like, I wish I had this when I was a little person.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We think a really nice way to kind of wrap up this wonderful kind of story you've taken us on is, and it's a bit of an abstract question, so hold in there with us.
Yeah.
If your life was a book, what would the title be?
That's a really hard one. Yeah. What would the title be? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Go surf.
Go surf.
I like
go surf.
Yeah.
Yes.
Simple. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, love that.
What would the cover look like? Would you?
Oh, it would just, it'd just be a big party wave with lots of people surfing.
Yes. So good.
I like
Yes.
that.
So
It just, lots of people on a wave surfing. Either that or it'd just be one person solo with a big ocean with no one else on there, or one wave coming through.
That's right. That would be rad too.
That's left a nice little vision in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thanks so much, Rachel. That was awesome. I feel like I could chat for hours.
Yeah,
really.
easily. Same. That's what I'm like. Yeah, no, it's been such a pleasure having you on board, and thank you so much for chatting with us today. You're very inspirational. I know I've said that already. I repeat words as I say them, but truthfully, it's amazing what you're doing, and we just want to bring more awareness to what you're up to and what's happening. And obviously, it's just your personal journey. Is there somewhere people can go have a look to find out more about Ocean Mind? And do you have Facebook or?
Yeah, so we're all on all the socials, just Ocean Mind Incorporated or Ocean Mind Inc. for all the socials. We also have a website, which is www.oceanmind.org.au. If anyone's interested in volunteering, there's a volunteer now on the website, and you can put in your application to volunteer with us. Or there's also, if anyone wanted to support us and donate, then we've got the donate button on the website as well.
Excellent.
Lovely. Thanks, Rach.